Douglas, tell us when to start, please. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jessica Del Vecchio, and I'm the Economic Development Manager for the City of Boca Raton. First and foremost, I want to thank the Boca Raton Tribune for allowing us to use this platform today, not only to get their technology to use it here, but also to get access to their readership and viewership. Joining me today is Michael Corbit. He is the VP of Business Services at Career Source of Palm Beach County. Thank you, Michael, for being here. And we have Sandra Marin from the Florida Small Business Development Center, and we will be discussing some of the programs that are available to our business community as well as our residents. So thank you both so much for being here. I am the Economic Development Manager for the City of Boca Raton, and basically 5 years ago, we launched the Office of Economic Development, and over the last 5 years, we've built some strong and made some strong strides within the community, trying to build commerce, if you will. And right now with COVID-19, there's a lot of questions, frankly, more questions than answers as far as what's available. It's ever changing. So I wanted to start this conversation, casual conversation. Obviously, we'll have a lot of questions as we go along. But with Sandra, if you can give us some perspective on some of the free resources that are available through the Small Business Development Center, as well as some of the, I know you're affiliated with SBA, and we've worked on a few things behind the scenes, but if you can give us kind of an overview of what you're seeing, what programs are being best utilized, best practices, and maybe more so like trending.
Oh, thank you, Jessica, for the opportunity to communicate with our businesses. I'm new in Florida, new in Boca Raton, and I'm learning that economic development is well supported by organizations like yours. So thank you so much for the opportunity. And I would like to start and describe it a little more what is the Florida SBDC at FAU. We are the state's principal provider of small business assistance. And this is a statewide network, and particularly for the region, Palm Beach and Broward counties, we have a partnership with FAU. This is our host, and we together provide one-on-one and confidential high-level business assistance in multiple areas. So currently we are focused in capital access, disaster recovery, and business continuity. But in regular basis, we support our businesses accessing government contracting with cybersecurity. That is also a new trend for most of our businesses. And we also support international trade assistance, strategic planning, and more. And coming back to your question, in what are the most or the current resources that our businesses have, definitely is capital to overcome this disaster. And I would like to highlight that credit and financing is not the only resource that is available. Also, through SBDC and other organizations like Michael will explain in a minute, we are encouraging our businesses to look at developing a new strategy for the new normal. So what is trendy at this point is that our businesses are looking more for strategies to be more flexible and more resilient in terms of operations. And once you give me the opportunity, I will go for more details on resources like SBA funds and solve some of the regular questions that our businesses are having right now. And this is the perfect scenario to give some updates that just happening in the last 2 days. So please let me know when I have the chance to do it.
Absolutely. Great. Yeah, it's a very fluid, everything is changing every time we see a new press release, there's new funding or lack of funding. So I think we should definitely dive into that. But I think we should also, like you gave a recap or an overview, we can invite Michael to do the same about your organization, what's available, and we can dive deeper as the conversation moves forward.
Very good. Thank you, Jessica, for having me on the panel today, and thank the Boca Tribune for hosting us. CareerSource Palm Beach County is your regional workforce board here, from Boca to Jupiter to Belglade and everywhere in between. We're a workforce board that helps connect companies with local job candidates. And we're really happy always to work with the economic development partners like Jessica in Boca Raton that does a great job. Firstly, we have a very diverse business community here in Palm Beach County. We're not dependent upon one industry or sector. We have multiple industries that do very well. We're starting to see companies figuring out how to apply for the loans. They're getting the money. They're trying to keep people employed. Some companies are furloughing and laying people off. I'll go into more of that, how to help people file for reemployment assistance and so forth. But I think the whole point here is we all have to rally around getting the businesses back in business or keep them in business. So the sooner we're able to ease the restrictions and get people flowing through the communities and societies, I think the better off we'll all be. So happy to answer questions as we go along here. Thank you.
Excellent. So yeah, so I think what we should start with is some people don't realize. I just got a question on my app, my surface here. They don't realize what we do for the city. So the Office of Economic Development helps to support the local corporate community and have done so with 13,000 businesses in the city of Boca Raton and 123,000 employees. I find you both to be a huge partner in what we're all going through right now. I think instead of doing a Q&A right now, I think, Sandra, what I'd like to hear from you would be more of some of the programs that are getting a lot of attention, not just on TV, but what you're seeing come to your office. I know you're hosting a lot of virtual meetings. Obviously, everything is virtual these days. But what you're seeing that's having the most impact, it's really helping. Because now we're getting calls from not just the large corporations here, we're also getting calls from the smaller businesses, the mid-sized businesses. We helped someone, you and I, a few weeks ago that has hundreds of employees. So how do you see, instead of case specific like that one, maybe a broader overview of what's really coming through your office that's going to help the purpose of our call today is really to see how we can help our community, both from the employment perspective and the business perspective. You know, simple things like identifying what a small business is. I had to ask you, you know, I've Googled it 1,000 times. Is it 500 people? Is it based on revenue? Yes, and yes, and yes. So, you know, how do we help clarify people? I understand their confusion. I mean, if you could help us, that would be great.
The most popular services that we're receiving at this time are capital access. And we recently closed the Florida Bridge loan. This is a short-term solution. And once the disaster is declared in the state of Florida, so the Florida SBDC jump on helping the state analyzing and providing those loans. So currently the capital access is more in the Paycheck Protection Program and the SBA Economic Injury Disaster Loan. So this is the where most of our consultants are dedicating their time. But also we have government contracting. We have the Procurement Technical Assistance Center. Those specialists are helping many businesses at this point, shifting from traditional operations to identify which other opportunities are in the government ready to provide some contract. So we have manufacturers, a brewery that is currently producing hand sanitizer. So they changed the business model with one of our consultants. So they went to government contracting as an option to provide more capital for their operations. So again, credit is not the only option. So government contracting is also one of our services in high demand. And also our exporters has not stopped, and we have a partnership with Enterprise Florida to provide export marketing plans. So if an exporter is looking at identifying new opportunities and to explore international markets, we have this partnership in place. And coming back also to, I lost part of your question. What is the other part of your question, Jessica? Sorry.
I was just more curious of what you're seeing come through your office. Are you referring to FEMA contracts? I know that that's been something we've been able to help some of our manufacturers that are pivoting their stream of product, like you just said. We have 2 companies we've helped get contracted with FEMA. I know FEMA you can donate, and then FEMA you can also contract to sell, which is a great option when things are not, you know, going as a normal plan. You did mention, and I don't mean to jump all over the place, but the information you have is really interesting. You mentioned international. How is that working with the ports and all of that? Are you still able to see people coming in looking for the international exposure and international markets as they pivot their business strategy?
So we are receiving calls from our current exporters looking at redesigning the strategy. There are a lot of unknowns in the market, so we don't know actually how they need to shift, but most of the calls from our business owners are related to be prepared for this new normal and how they should flexibilize part of the export market and maybe start digging more into domestic markets while they identify if they can continue exporting. Also, there are some talks about restricting some imports to protect our domestic production. So also there are other questions related to, may I look into imports to diversify my business? So yes, even that at this time is uncertain how to address those export markets. Businesses are checking in how to take advantage now of those changes to identify new sources of income or revenue for their companies. So this is one hot topic area too.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of that also. We're seeing some sale leaseback, some inventory and PO sales on the largest scale of companies. They're selling their purchase orders for the future. I want to bring Michael into the conversation, but I do want to make sure we circle back, not just cover corporate, but also to give you something to think about, Sandra, something more so for maybe a service provider that has been closed. If you can think of some of the options for them while we touch upon some of the services and programs with Michael's organization. If you could think about, now we've talked a little bit about corporate, right? The international, the companies that we work with primarily, but like I said, with 13,000 companies, we're hearing from a lot of people lately that we're all in the same boat, really. Here comes. So if you could think about some scenarios like that, that would be great. Michael, if you could chime in and let us know some of the things that you're seeing a little bit more in depth than before.
Absolutely. Let me start with some numbers. We're getting numbers every day from the Department of Economic Opportunity out of Tallahassee. To date, they've had 1.88 million people file for claims and unemployment. There's 386,000 claims that have been paid. We've all heard about the problems with the online system through Connect and so forth, but they have paid up to $500 million so far to date as of Monday. They're speeding up the process. The best thing you can do if you're looking to file unemployment is go to floridajobs.org. Again, floridajobs.org, and look under the tab for reemployment assistance. It's right on the homepage there. They've transferred over to a much more robust system. The filing doesn't take quite as long. In Palm Beach County, we have had, as of last Thursday, 33,114 people file claims for unemployment. That's fourth highest in the state, behind Miami-Dade, Broward, and Orange County. So I think this is going to lag. These are April numbers. I think in May we're going to see the true picture of what has happened so far. A lot of the industries that have been dramatically impacted, obviously hospitality, tourism here in Palm Beach County, that employs 70,000 people, has been just rocked. Retail, trade, some healthcare services have been shattered and so forth, and everybody has to transition over their business model, obviously. We had a virtual job fair last Wednesday with Palm Beach Tech and Premier Virtual and other community partners. I think you're going to see that trend continue. If you are looking for work, we do have 500 to 600 open jobs in employflorida.com. Again, employflorida.com is the state's employment database. We are regularly getting job orders from local companies. Many of them are doing these types of interviews and screenings and so forth. So make yourself very prepared to talk with employers and hiring managers, and be robust out there searching for the types of jobs that you feel you could fit your skills and experience into.
Excellent, Michael. Also, what the Career Source does, something to touch upon from a business owner or from a corporate perspective, is you also offer services for people that have to also lay off. You know, you help people not only find those jobs, but polish up their resumes. And for people that are working and maybe shifting, as business models change, we have to change our skill sets, right? I mean, that just kind of happens. So you offer technical assistance, I believe, and can you kind of delve into some of that? So some of us are still working, but now, like, we had a little technology little glitch this morning, and we're like, so like, how does that? We're all learning new things. We're learning on the fly. It's awesome to be able to still do this, but you have technical programs and you have skill sets that you're able to provide to people. Can you touch upon that for the people that are watching that are looking for work, reemployment, or even different employment within their existing organization?
Okay, that's a great question, and I'll lead right into that. First of all, we do help companies that are looking to downsize or lay people off. We have staff that online can help those employees and understand the benefits and the resources available to them across the county. We're happy to do that, and we need to do that for the companies and employees. We have a couple of departments here that are helpful. We have a veterans department of 8 individuals that focus on veterans, their spouses, and families. Good group of people that go out in the community and help that population. We have a disabilities and special needs department that works with people as well. Youth and young adult department that works with that population. And then reentry. And I think what you were really referencing, Jessica, is our training grants. We have a lot of training grants and scholarships to help now more quickly get people into accelerated programs to gain a certification or a credential to get back into work or learn a new skill or trade. So keep watching our website, careersourcepbc.com, for programs that we're offering. Again, careersourcepbc.com. We will start bringing staff back in phases probably in the next couple of weeks. But again, we're like everybody else. We're trying to get people up and running remotely and providing the same services. I can tell you that our staff has received up 38,000 phone calls and emails looking for assistance to get their unemployment claims filed. So we're trying to keep up with the pace.
Amazing. Yeah, we hear you. We're kind of all in that same boat where we've had to ramp up pretty quickly, pretty rapidly, and like I said, learn new things. And see, that's why I had you and Sandra on, because we don't know everything, and people are looking at us as a resource. And you know, it's impossible to keep up with everything. That's why this may be one of many calls if you're both up for it. Sandra, something Michael said that kind of struck me was, you know, about the pivoting and the technical assistance. And I don't know if this is something you can give us some insight on, but we're hearing a lot about landlords and how do I pay my rent if, you know, I'm out of business and or shut down temporarily or different capacity. You know, I talked to a business owner who owns 30 to 40 restaurants in the area, and they went from 25% takeout and curbside on their normal business platform overnight to basically 100%. And they had to close 2 stores. They're still doing relatively well, not as well as they would be if they were open. But now they don't own their real estate. Even if they own their real estate, the mortgage is due and the mortgage is due. Are there programs through either through SBDC, SBA? How do we get the answer to what we as a business owner what our rights are? I'm not asking for legal advice, but what do you think we could assist with on a question like that? It's very, because if I don't pay my landlord and the landlord doesn't pay the mortgage company, you know, like it's kind of it implodes. So how do we handle that the best way? Any insight?
So from my perspective, the line of credit are serving the purpose. So SBA loans, for instance, are a medium and long-term solution for some companies that are looking at covering some of the fixed costs that they have before the disaster was declared. But also some other companies are looking at taking this as an opportunity to utilize technology, whether if there are restaurants or medical offices or retail environments. Most of companies are using this opportunity to design a new strategy to plan based on implementing technology. And some of them are looking at just breaking their leases because they see that there is no option to keep the operation as it was. So we've been seeing multiple shifts in the type of business models, and basically most of our clients are looking at being more flexible and able to adapt and resist any type of changes that the new market is bringing. So we're working a lot with cybersecurity strategies to help some restaurants, for instance, to move some of their traditional operations to sell online, and some of them have not utilized technology in the past because the clients came to the door. But now with the new normal, most of the restaurants are looking at selling online as the new way to facilitate employment. But also it impacts directly real estate because some of the restaurants are closing some of their locations and looking forward at just reduce the traditional operation and merge part of the business to go online. That is where we are supporting with cybersecurity and also with strategic planning using technology. So the trends are all over the place. So we work case by case, one-on-one with our businesses to define what is the best course of action. So this is my insight. So most of the businesses are seeking on how to utilize technology to make changes, and even if they have to close some of the current operations or traditional operations, this is some of the moves that some clients are doing to keep their business in business.
Yeah, we need the technology to keep moving, that's for sure. I haven't read the report yet, and Michael will probably have this before anybody, but the shift of investment from a company that is no longer traveling, but the money that people say, oh, they'll save money from their sales team that travels, but no, they're investing in the technology. I mean, how many people had to go out and buy laptops for all their employees, and they're testing the system? I mean, even from our city's perspective, we do virtual meetings for the elected officials, and it takes time and manpower and hacking and all these concerns that a lot of people, we're doing the best we can as not just Boca and not just Florida, but the whole country. So I think you're right. We're seeing a lot of investment in technology, which is expensive for a business owner. That said, we've also met with over the phone and Zoom like this, but we've met with a number of businesses that are expanding. They never did the takeout in a restaurant before, and they're having some growth, and they want to do a smaller scale. They may close their operation now and then pivot and do something similar to that. But on a separate note, we talked about the landlords, and that's a case by case. Are there timelines, and you could both chime in at your own on these programs? So if I go in for one of the loans through the SBDC or the SBA, we hear sometimes that they take a little time, the approvals. How does that look? Do I get a case manager? And Michael, same thing when we go on the employment side. How long before I send my resume in and I find a perfect match? How long does that take? If you could both take, anyone who wants to take it.
I'll jump in. So people can file unemployment, and in the state of Florida, they're given maximum of $275 a week. But now the federal government has passed this PPP program. They're adding $600 on top of that if a person qualifies and is eligible. So a person can make up to $875 a week if they're unemployed. The governor has also lifted the requirement to apply for 5 jobs a week through May. So that's the system it is right now. That's 12 weeks, and they have extended that another 13 weeks. So you've got 25 weeks to really actively pursue new employment. There are industries that are hiring right now. As I shared earlier, the hospitality industry has been just rocked. But you can see people could transition into a property management type company or doing something else. And most businesses, they have soup to nuts the type of jobs that they actually offer. So we're trying to be as positive as possible as we can. We have career counselors and coaches that interface with these job seekers and try to keep them encouraged as well, searching for jobs and having a good possible presentation for them.
Excellent. Thank you. Sandra, you want to take that question as well?
Yes, and also I will take this opportunity to solve some of the questions that our business owners are having in how to check the status or the current economic injury bridge loan, disaster loans for the SBA, and it might solve some of the questions related to when I will see the funds coming into my account. So specifically for the economic injury disaster loan, if the application starts with the number 3, they are currently in process. And it means that the loans are being reviewed and processed in the order that they were received. If the application starts with the number 2, businesses should reapply when the portal opens up. It should be today, tomorrow. And the application is 3 pages at this point. It doesn't require financials. And once they reapply, they have to wait for some emails in which the disaster team will let them know the current number and merging the original application. This is for those who the original application starts with number 2. And for those small business owners that already apply, we are seeking about 4 weeks from the time of the application for them to have a response from the SBA. And we also have been told that some of the SBA emails get trapped in a spam or junk folder. So we're asking this business owner to please look for communications there. And if they still want to contact SBA based in, excuse me, I will give you the number here is, should I copy that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
See, we're all learning new things.
Yes, this is
We're all in this together, literally.
Yes. And anything that our small business owners want to know, that they can contact Jessica, they can contact Florida SBDC at FAU, and they can contact SBA directly at 800-659-2955, or they can directly email disastercustomerservice@sba.gov. And with that in mind, this is the way that applicants can really know what is the status. And there are new applications open, and there are new banks in the list. There are community banks, credit unions that are accepting new applicants, even if they are not clients yet. So I will be happy to share that information with those who reach Jessica or me directly. And also for the PPP, some applicants want to know what is the timeline. This is nothing that we can manage from SBA or SBDC because the timeline is based on each bank. So we encourage our applicants to go to the bank that they apply. And also there are now applications via online, that via PayPal, for instance, that they can be very useful because they can process even quickly some of those applications. So the timeline varies, and even so from SBDC, when somebody is asking for consultation, we might take some time. That's why if there is time sensitive, I encourage businesses to reach Jessica, and I'll be happy to provide more information as needed.
Excellent. We have a question coming in on our live stream from Michael. But when we do come back to this discussion, Sandra, I wanted to ask you specifically on, if I don't know, you don't know what you don't know, but if I need some lending and I'm not sure as a business owner which program, I could sit down with someone virtually and talk about my specific business with someone from your organization and find out specifically what would work for me in my scenario. Is that how that works?
Is how it works. And if somebody has this case, they visit sbdc@fau.edu.
Yes.
And request a consultation. And also they can come to your office and we will accept your referral, and we can start working with a consultant. And it works one-on-one, confidential, and no-cost services.
No cost. I think the most important thing of both of you, I should have probably led with that, is that a lot of people don't realize there's no cost for these. That's why we're doing this. We're really trying to help people. And Michael, I don't know if you know the answer to this yet, but I'm going to read it out loud, and you can. We have a question that comes in. It says, Michael, as an independent contractor, I was deemed ineligible for unemployment. Any advice on appealing or reapplying for $600 CARES Act benefits? I feel like my case is lost in the system.
That's a good question, Melissa, and I would reapply. I would go back into floridajobs.org and reapply. They have been relaxing the requirements for contract workers, 1099 freelancers, and so forth. You would be eligible according to the information that I'm receiving from DEO on a weekly basis. So I would encourage you to go back in and reapply, open up your case file, and claim the weeks that you're eligible to claim. I hope that helps.
Okay, thank you. We talked about the landlord reducing rents. What can we do through our lending? That might be more of a legal topic, so we'll leave that for now. But I wanted to see before we wrap up, if I didn't touch on anything that we should have touched upon, I don't want to miss anything for the people that will be watching later. If you could just have some closing remarks for realistic. We don't want to be, rainbows and lollipops. It's going to be tough for all of us, and we would like to know any advice, anything that we missed that you think is important to mention. Please take this time.
Okay. Well, Jessica, I don't know if Boca Raton has added any type of assistance financially for small businesses. Some of the cities in Palm Beach County have. They've opened up $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 that they have through their budgets as well. I don't know if you have, certainly speak to that. But again, Palm Beach County, I've lived here most of my life, is a very resource-rich community. If any community could rally around trying to help businesses get back up into business and keep their people employed, that's what these programs are certainly geared towards. But keep an eye on employflorida.com. Look for future virtual career fairs. and job fairs and hiring events. We certainly want to help people get back to work, and if you need training grants and dollars, please look to CareerSource for assistance. Thanks.
Excellent. Michael, one quick question. I'm sorry, Sandra, I got to jump in. Sorry. One quick question. You mentioned that there's a municipality or two that are doing about a $10,000, $20,000 grant. I've read about that. I've reached out to those municipalities. I'm just curious, realistically speaking, how many businesses are in that community and how much money will be allocated to those businesses? Like I'd mentioned, City of Boca Raton has 13,000 businesses. If we did something comparable, I'm not being flip, but is it helping? I mean, I don't know. Can you give us some insight, if you have any, on what those municipalities are doing and how they're getting it done, and if it is making an impact?
From what I can see, it is. You have smaller businesses that are looking for a lifeline to keep their staff employed, to keep their operations up and running. The larger municipalities are the ones that are doing that, and it is focusing on small to medium businesses, specifically 15 to 20 to 50 employees. If they feel they can help, they're screening them as quickly as possible, and they're trying to get the funds in their hands so they can use it for what it's needed to be used for: rent, mortgage, keeping people on payroll, things like that.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, Sandra, I'm sorry. Just making my notes.
Thank you.
Sure.
So the main message that I want to transfer is that credit is only one form to keep the business in business. So therefore, we recommend that find credit with our specialized consultants, along with other services that can assist with economic recovery, like identifying new markets, identifying new strategies for your business. And please reach us via sbdc.fau.edu, and we will be happy to provide support. And also let us know how else we can help you identifying what is your SBA loan at this point, and we will be happy to find a way to solve some questions. And other than that, I will really appreciate the opportunity that we as at SBDC have to communicate with our constituents. And please reach out and let's work together on recovery from this disaster. Thank you.
You're muted, Jessica.
Oh, old dog, new tricks. I need your technical assistance programs for technology. I just wanted to say thank you both so much for being here. I think this is very valuable information. I think if we want to do specific, as we get more questions are coming in now. We didn't get to post this meeting until last night for other reasons, and if we're all game to do it again in a week or two, we can all kind of formulate some questions beforehand, maybe case specific to certain businesses or certain types of businesses. We can segment it to small business one day and larger businesses the next, or service industries, and how does that look. But for now, I think we covered the bigger scope, and I think I just really want to thank you both, and I want to thank the Boca Tribune so much. So you guys are great partners, all three of you. Thank you. Thank you.